Have you ever imagined that a little cloud could dream of becoming a painter? Not painting on paper, but across the sky itself. This is the story of Nimbus, a cloud unlike any other. While the other clouds brought rain and thunder, Nimbus longed to bring color, joy, and wonder to the world below. Join us for a gentle, magical journey, where even the smallest dream can light up the sky. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more magical adventures. Chapter 1. A Dream in the Sky. High above the sleepy hills and whispering forests, where birds sang their morning songs and rivers shimmered like silver ribbons, the sky stretched endlessly in every direction. It was a wide, open world of blue, brushed with the soft white of wandering clouds and the hush of wind songs. Among these many clouds was a little one named Nimbus. Nimbus wasn't large or puffy like the proud thunderclouds, nor was he wispy and swift like the cirrus dancers high above. He was small, round, soft, and a little bit squishy, like a puffball of marshmallow drifting lazily on the breeze. And unlike the other clouds, who were quite happy to change shape, play guessing games, or gently shower the earth with rain, Nimbus had a secret wish. He didn't want to be just a cloud. He wanted to paint. Yes, paint the sky. Not with rain or fog or gloomy storms, but with color. With glowing pinks and oranges, golden yellows, and deep, velvety purples. He dreamed of swirling those colors across the heavens like a great artist with a sky-sized brush, painting wonders that would make the whole world stop and smile. "I want to make the sky beautiful," he often whispered to himself, "so that when people look up, they feel something magical." But dreams are heavy things for little clouds to carry. Most mornings, as the sun rose lazily behind the distant hills, the other clouds would gather to puff themselves into playful shapes. Some would turn into castles, others into sleepy whales, galloping sheep, or long-necked giraffes. The wind would laugh and nudge them along, and the sky would come alive with imagination. But Nimbus wasn't interested in shapes. He would float quietly at the edge of the cloud crowd, staring at the horizon as the sunlight stretched its golden fingers through the air. He watched how it touched the tops of trees, warmed the bellies of birds in flight, and kissed the roofs of tiny houses below. He wanted to hold on to that light, to catch it, bend it, spread it across the sky like a story. One morning, as he hovered above a sleepy meadow dotted with dandelions, he let out a long, slow sigh. A breeze passed by, a soft wind, silver and sweet. It looped and twirled around him like a ribbon in the air. "Why the long puff?" asked the breeze, giving Nimbus a gentle spin. Nimbus looked down at his round, pale form. "Why is the sky always just blue or gray?" he asked. "Why not red or gold or purple all day long?" The breeze tickled his edges, playful and light. "That's just how things are, little cloud. We drift, we shade, we rain. The sun shines, the wind sings, and the sky stays blue." Nimbus frowned gently. "But what if I want to do more than just drift? What if I want to create something? Something beautiful?" The breeze paused. It said thoughtfully. "That's a very big dream for such a very small cloud." Then, with a friendly nudge, it spiraled away, humming to itself. Nimbus floated in silence, watching the breeze fade into the distance. He looked down again. People were walking through fields, their shadows long in the morning light. Some were holding hands. Others were pushing wheelbarrows or leading sleepy sheep. Butterflies flitted from flower to flower. Everything was lovely, yes, but something was still missing. It could be even more, Nimbus thought. Could be magic. So he tried. He puffed himself up, rounder, fuller, brighter, and floated higher, climbing toward the sun. Maybe, just maybe, if he got close enough, he could borrow some of its golden light. He turned his fluffiest side toward the sun, stretching wide. For a moment, just a blink, he saw it. A hint of warmth, a soft glow, a faint blush of pink along his edge. His little heart fluttered with excitement. But as quickly as it came, the color vanished. The sun moved on, and he turned pale once more. "Humph," he grumbled, deflating slightly. But Nimbus was not ready to give up. He sank lower instead, beneath the usual cloud paths, into the quiet realm where mists swirled and fog clung gently to the treetops. The air was cool and still, filled with the quiet patter of unseen droplets and the hush of whispered winds. There, among the silver mist, something caught his eye. Shimmer. A glint of light. Figure. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. Perhaps the sun playing games through the fog. But then it moved. Spun. Twirled. Danced. And it had wings. Delicate wings like glass threads woven with every color of the rainbow. They caught the light in brilliant flickers, scattering colors through the mist like gems falling through water. Nimbus gasped. A fairy! The shimmering figure turned at the sound of his voice. Her wings chimed as she flitted closer, leaving behind trails of sparkling color. "Hello, little cloud," she said, her voice as bright as wind chimes. Nimbus blinked in awe. "Are you real?" She giggled, spinning midair. "As real as dreams and as quick as breezes. I'm a rainbow fairy. My name is Leora." "Nimbus," he said, still blinking. "I've never met a fairy before. And I've never met a cloud with such wondering eyes," Leora replied, landing softly on a puff of his edge. "You look like you're holding something special." Nimbus hesitated, then spoke in a quiet voice. "I have a dream. But everyone says it's too big for someone like me." Leora tilted her head, curious. "What kind of dream?" "I want to paint the sky," he said, cheeks blushing the faintest silver. Leora's eyes sparkled. "Oh, what a marvelous dream. You don't think it's silly?" "Not one bit," she said, smiling warmly. "But to paint the sky, you'll need more than fluff and water. You'll need light, real light, the kind that dances and sings." Nimbus tilted his head. "Light that sings." She nodded, her wings shimmering. "Come with me. There's someone who can help." With a laugh like bells and a twirl of sparkling dust, Leora leapt into the sky and soared higher. Nimbus felt something stir inside him, something like hope, something like wonder. With a swirl of courage, he followed her into the golden light above, not knowing what awaited, but certain he had taken the first brushstroke of his dream. Chapter 2. The Light That Dances. Nimbus had never flown so high before. The air grew thinner as he followed Leora upward, his soft fluff tingling from the golden warmth that seemed to spill from every direction. The mist below fell away, replaced by vast stillness. It was so quiet, so wide, that even the wind stopped singing. Leora flew ahead, spinning and twirling through sunbeams like a ribbon of light. Each time her wings moved, they shimmered with hues Nimbus had no names for, colors so rich and strange that they felt like dreams. "Are we going to the sun?" Nimbus asked a little nervously. He wasn't used to venturing beyond the usual skies, and the idea of approaching something as grand and powerful as the sun made his fluff ripple. "Not to the sun exactly," Leora called back with a laugh, "but near it. We're going to visit someone who understands how light works, how it moves and dances." Nimbus drifted in silence for a moment. He imagined the sun as a giant glowing lantern hanging in the sky, too bright to look at, too far to reach. And yet, its light touched everything. Grass and sea, mountaintops and rooftops, even little clouds like him, made the world bloom. As they climbed higher, the sky shifted. The blue began to melt into a golden hue, like honey poured across the horizon. Nimbus could feel it, gentle but vast, strong but kind. Then he saw it. A sun. It wasn't like he imagined. It wasn't blinding or fiery or fierce. It was enormous, yes, and radiant, but it radiated warmth more than heat, comfort more than command. Its rays stretched out in beams like golden arms, reaching in every direction. Leora fluttered gently toward the glowing presence and called out, "Great sun, may we speak with you?" The light stirred. A deep, mellow voice rose from the stillness, echoing softly like thunder far away. "Who comes seeking the heart of light?" Leora dipped into a curtsy midair. "It is I, Leora of the Rainbow Glade, and this is Nimbus, a cloud with a dream." The sunlight flickered gently, and the warm voice spoke again. "A cloud with a dream." Nimbus floated forward, quivering slightly. "Great sun," he said, his voice small but steady. "I want to paint the sky, not with storms or rain but with color. I want to make people feel joy when they look up. But I don't know how." There was a long pause. Then the sunlight pulsed with a soft rumble of kindness. "A noble dream, little one. But color is not something clouds make alone. It is born when light dances with the world." Nimbus tilted slightly. "But how does light dance?" The great sun responded, his rays gently swirling like warm waves. "Light moves in many ways, Nimbus. It bends, it scatters, it reflects. At dusk, when I rest upon the horizon, my rays travel through the thickest part of the air. That's when they scatter into colors: red, orange, pink, and violet." Nimbus's fluff stirred. "So, if I float just right, I can catch those colors." "You can do more than catch them," the sun said. "You can shape them. Clouds like you become the canvas on which sunset paints its songs. If you learn to feel the light, to trust its rhythm, you can help it create something the world has never seen." Nimbus blinked. "Like a painting in the sky?" "Exactly," the great sun replied. "But it won't be easy. You must learn to let go of your fear. You must let light pass through you, not just around you. You must be bold and gentle all at once." Nimbus nodded slowly, his heart filling with both wonder and nerves. "But how will I know what to do?" Leora fluttered close, her wings chiming softly. "You don't have to know everything right away. Just begin. Trust the sky. Trust yourself." The great sun offered a final word. The sky listens to those who dream boldly, little one. You were made to glow. Nimbus felt something inside him stir, a quiet confidence like the gentle start of a breeze. "Thank you," he whispered. The sun's glow brightened, then slowly began to soften as it drifted lower in the sky. "Now go. Dusk is coming. The first painting is waiting." Leora twirled beside Nimbus, her eyes shining. "Come on. Let's go find your first canvas." And so they drifted downward, toward the soft shadows of the late afternoon. The world below was beginning to slow. Birds flew home. Trees leaned in close to one another. Windows filled with warm golden light. As Nimbus descended, the sky around him began to blush. Soft pink at first, then a deepening orange. The edges of the clouds lit up like fireflies. The sun was beginning to bend, just as it had promised. Leora whispered beside him, "Now, little cloud, watch and feel. Let the light pass through you." Nimbus trembled, but he spread himself wide. The warmth of the sun touched his fluff and poured through every part of him. And then, slowly like magic waking up, he began to change. A blush of rose bloomed across his sides. Then amber, then lavender. The colors swirled and shimmered, weaving through him in ribbons of light. From below, people stopped and stared. Children pointed. Artists gasped. Parents lifted babies toward the sky. It was the beginning. Nimbus was painting. Chapter 3. Sunset in motion. Nimbus had never felt so alive. The sky around him pulsed with color. Soft rose, glowing gold, dusky lavender. He moved slowly, stretching wider as Leora had taught him, and the light scattered through his fluff in gentle waves. He wasn't just reflecting the sunset. He was part of it. He was blending with the sun's final light, becoming the soft strokes of color painted across the heavens. He shifted left, and the hue turned coral. He dipped slightly, and violet rippled along his underside. With every movement, the sky transformed, and it listened. And the world below noticed. In a sleepy village nestled between hills, a child looked up from their window. "Mama!" the child called, tugging on her sleeve. "Come see the sky. It's glowing like a storybook." Her mother came to the window and gasped. "It's magical," she whispered. A fisherman on a quiet lake paused as golden ripples danced across the water. He removed his hat and sat in his boat without moving, his eyes reflecting the changing sky. Artists on balconies lifted their brushes in awe, but none dared paint. They didn't want to interrupt what nature was already doing. A shepherd on a hillside let his song trail into silence as the sheep turned their heads to the west. Even the animals, in their quiet way, seemed to sense something was happening, something rare, something beautiful. Nimbus felt it all. He felt their wonder, their quiet joy, and it filled him with something he had never known. Not just pride but connection. He wasn't just a cloud anymore. He was part of the world. Part of its feelings, its breath, its light. Leora clapped her hands beside him, her laughter like wind chimes. "You're doing it, Nimbus. You're really doing it." Nimbus would have blushed if clouds could. "It's beautiful. I didn't know I could feel this much." He wasn't just painting the sky, he was feeling it. Every swirl of color, every shift in light, flowed through him like a melody he'd always heard but never sung aloud. The sky became his instrument, and the sun his partner in art. The sun now hovered low, a glowing orange coin resting on the edge of the world. Nimbus twirled carefully, letting its rays pass through him like threads of silk. Crimson, apricot, amber. The sky became a vast tapestry, and Nimbus, a quiet hand guiding the brush. Even the birds slowed their flight, weaving gently through the hues like dancers in a silent ballet. Leora hovered near, her wings glowing with the same colors Nimbus carried. "You were born for this. I don't want it to end," Nimbus murmured, his voice carrying on a soft breeze. But slowly, softly, the moment began to fade. The sun dipped further behind the hills. The brilliant oranges and pinks cooled to lavender, then to dusty blue. The vibrant horizon began to soften, like the closing of a book. Shadows lengthened. Darkness approached, not fast or frightening but gently like the hush before sleep. "No," Nimbus whispered. "Just a little more." He stretched himself as wide as he could, trying to gather the last of the golden light. But it slipped through him like water through cupped hands. He could no longer catch it. It was retreating, tenderly, gracefully, into the arms of night. "I wasn't done," Nimbus said, his fluff dimming with disappointment. Leora floated beside him, her sparkle fading like the last firefly. "The light always goes to sleep, Nimbus. It needs rest so it can return." Nimbus didn't speak. He drifted in the quiet dusk, watching the first stars blink into the darkening sky. "But what if I lose it?" he asked finally. "What if I forget how to feel like that again? What if tonight was a dream?" Leora shook her head. "You won't. The light didn't make you an artist. It simply awakened what was already inside you." Nimbus let those words settle. Far below, lanterns flickered on. People carried the last moments of sunset with them, glows reflected in their windows, soft smiles on their faces. In a quiet garden, a girl sat with her notebook, trying to capture the way the colors had made her feel. Her drawing was clumsy, but her heart was full. And in a tiny corner of the sky, Nimbus noticed something. His painting hadn't vanished completely. In the river's bend, the water still shimmered with a soft peach glow. The tops of the hills were crowned in indigo. Even the clouds drifting beside him held faint traces of pink like brushstrokes from another world. He had left something behind. Mark. Memory. Beginning. "You did more than paint," Leora said, her voice warm. "You gave the world a moment it didn't know it needed." Nimbus was quiet for a long time. He let a breeze carry him gently to the edge of the sky, where the stars were brightest. A few puffy clouds floated nearby, watching him in quiet admiration. "Was that really me?" he asked softly. Leora smiled. "Yes. And tomorrow you'll try again." "Will the light always come back?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Every evening. And every evening it will dance. You just have to be there to welcome it." Nimbus turned toward the west. It was deep blue now, speckled with stars and full of silence. But not emptiness. He still felt the warmth of the sun deep inside him, like an ember. "I'll be here," he said at last. "I'll be ready." He curled into himself slightly, a silvery shape now, no longer bright, but content. He wasn't glowing. He wasn't painting. And that was all right. Tonight he would rest. Below, in a quiet home, a child pressed their nose to the glass and whispered to a sleepy cat, "The sky looked like a painting tonight." Nimbus smiled. He closed his eyes, cradled by the stars, already dreaming of tomorrow's colors. Chapter 4. The Storm in the Sky. The next evening arrived quietly, as if the sky itself was holding its breath. Nimbus floated higher than usual, humming softly to himself. He felt different now, not just fluff and mist but purpose and excitement. Tonight he wasn't just drifting. He was arriving. The sun was beginning its descent, casting amber over the hills, and Nimbus's heart swelled with anticipation. He had spent the day planning. Would he open with a sweep of coral again, or try a bolder splash of crimson? Would he hold the orange for longer? Maybe mix it with lavender for something entirely new? Beside him, Leora sparkled with glee. "You're glowing already," she said, twirling through the air like a ribbon of light. Nimbus smiled, his edges already tinged with a golden sheen. "It feels right tonight," he said. "Like the sky is ready for something brave." Leora nodded. "Then let's make something that hasn't been seen before." But as they drifted westward toward the glowing line of the horizon, Nimbus felt it. A shift in the air. The warmth dimmed. The light seemed sluggish, like honey trying to move through cold tea. The breeze, once playful, turned hesitant. Nimbus slowed. "Something's not right." Leora paused beside him, her wings quivering slightly. "Do you hear that?" A low, deep rumble rolled across the sky. Then came the darkness. From the far east, a massive shape loomed, thicker than cloud, darker than dusk, wider than any storm Nimbus had ever seen. It churned with shades of ash and steel, its edges jagged, crackling with electric threads. With every slow rotation, it exhaled a deep thunder that made even the bravest clouds scatter. Nimbus gulped. "Who is that?" Leora's light flickered as she whispered, "That's Tempest." Nimbus turned fully. The name alone sounded like thunder. Tempest is an old cloud. Powerful. Proud. And, well, he's never liked dreamers. As they spoke, the massive storm rolled closer, taking up the eastern sky like a mountain in motion. Smaller clouds shrank away from its path. Even the wind veered wide. Tempest's eyes, if one could call them that, glowed faintly from within like slow-burning coals. "Well, well," came a voice gravelly and cold. "What is this shimmer I see in my sky?" Nimbus froze. Tempest stopped a short distance away, towering above him. A painted puffball, fluffed and flared, here to play pretend. Nimbus stammered. I'm not pretending. Nimbus. I'm here to paint the sunset." Tempest let out a long, deep laugh. Lightning flickered along his edges. "Paint the sunset? What foolishness! The sky is not a canvas for feelings. It is a force. We bring storms. We shape the world. We are weather." Nimbus tried to hold steady. "But beauty shapes the world too," he said, more quietly than he'd intended. "When people look up and feel something, that's power too." Tempest surged forward a little, darkening the space between them. Power is rain that feeds crops, winds that shape mountains, thunder that splits the silence. Not soft colors for soft hearts. Nimbus's glow dimmed. Every word seemed to press against him, to flatten his fluff, to squeeze the hope from his core. Leora hovered close. "You don't have to prove anything," she whispered. But Nimbus wasn't sure anymore. What if Tempest was right? What if clouds were only meant to be rain and storm? What if his dream really was just fluff? He looked down, hoping for comfort, and found it. Below, children were gathering in fields, their eyes on the sky. A musician sat by a fountain, violin resting on his knee as he stared upward. An old woman in a rocking chair pointed to the horizon, whispering a bedtime tale to a child in her lap. They were waiting for something beautiful, waiting for him. Nimbus took a breath. "I know I'm not like you," he said to Tempest. "I can't crack trees with lightning or flood rivers with a breath. But I can bring something else. Can bring wonder. I can bring peace." Tempest narrowed. "Peace doesn't shape the earth. But it shapes the heart," Nimbus replied, his glow slowly returning. "And sometimes that's what the world needs most." For a long moment Tempest said nothing. Then he snorted. "Big words for a soft cloud." Nimbus didn't shrink this time. "Maybe. But I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to shine." Tempest loomed for one last second, then turned. "Oomph. Let the little cloud play his game," he muttered, rolling back eastward with a swirl of wind and a snap of thunder. "The storm has other places to be." When he vanished into the dusk, the sky exhaled. Leora flew to Nimbus's side. "That was brave," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was scared," Nimbus admitted. "But you stood," she said. "And that's what matters." The sun touched the horizon. The light began to bend. And Nimbus, carrying the weight of confrontation and the strength of choice, opened himself wide to receive it. He didn't start with softness. He started with boldness. A rich crimson burst across the sky, sharp and proud. Then a streak of golden fire, warm and fierce. Violet spirals followed, mixing with indigo, and finally a whisper of rose to soften the edges. From below came stillness, then applause. Children clapped with delight. Artists lifted brushes with tears in their eyes. A dog barked happily at the sky. Even the birds flew a little slower, as if dancing with the light. Tonight's painting was not quiet. It was not afraid. It was full of heart. And high above it all, Nimbus floated tall and calm, no longer wondering if his colors mattered. They did. They always had. Chapter 5. The color that lasts. The days grew shorter. Each morning arrived with a chill in the air, and each evening the sun sank faster, as if it too longed for a little extra rest. Down below, the green summer faded into the fiery colors of autumn, then into the soft grays and silvers of winter. But every night Nimbus rose. No matter how cold the sky became, no matter how quiet the earth lay beneath its blanket of frost, Nimbus floated to the west and waited for the light. And he painted. His colors changed with the seasons. In summer he'd painted boldly, with blazing oranges and proud reds that stretched across the sky like banners. In autumn, He swirled his fluff into spirals of copper, rust, and gold, catching every fallen leaf's memory. And now, in winter, his sunsets were slow and hushed. Soft pinks, gentle blues, silvers with a hint of lavender. He didn't paint to be seen. He painted because the sky needed it. Sometimes when the wind was kind, it whispered they're still watching. And indeed they were. Though fewer stood in the fields or sat on rooftops, eyes still turned west. From warm windows and quiet porches, wrapped in scarves and mittens, people paused. They wrapped their hands around mugs of cocoa and their hearts around the light. And still they whispered, "There he is, the little cloud who paints." Nimbus had never been prouder. He had grown, not in size but in stillness, in knowing. But one evening, as he glowed faintly in the fading gold of a winter sunset, he heard a familiar chime. "Hello, little cloud." It was Leora. She hadn't visited in many sunsets, and when Nimbus turned, he saw her wings were paler than before, more transparent like frost on a window. "Leora," he said, brightening. "You came back." "I never went far," she said. "But I've been watching. Now, I have to truly say goodbye." Nimbus's glow flickered. "Truly?" Leora nodded gently. "The seasons call us rainbow fairies home when winter settles fully. We sleep in the high northern lights and don't wake until the first buds of spring." Nimbus looked down. The earth was covered in snow. Bare trees stood like sleepy bones. Everything was still. "I thought I'd be okay. But now that you're really going, I feel small again." "You're not small," Leora said. "You've become the sky's most faithful painter." "But I'm afraid," he whispered. "Of what?" "That I won't shine without you." Leora drifted close, her presence soft but sure. "You've already shone brighter than any cloud I've ever known. You painted through storms, through doubt, through silence. You painted when no one asked. You painted because it was your truth." Nimbus closed his eyes for a moment, holding the quiet between them. Leora continued, "Do you remember the first time you painted, how nervous you were?" "Yes," he whispered. "Do you remember what the great sun told you? To trust the light." "And myself." "And you did," Leora said, beaming. "Every single evening. And that light now lives in every child who smiles at the sky, every artist who dares to dream, every elder who remembers the colors of youth." Nimbus felt the words settle into his core like a warm ember. "But I'll miss you," he said simply. Leora smiled. "I'll miss you too. You were my favorite part of this season." She drifted upward slowly, her wings beginning to dissolve into stardust. "Leora," Nimbus called. "Will I see you again?" "When the cherry blossoms bloom," she replied. "When the wind smells like new grass and the sky stretches blue again, I'll be back." And with a final twirl, Leora vanished into the northern winds, her laughter trailing like a soft lullaby. Nimbus hovered there for a while, the sky growing darker around him. He didn't cry. Clouds don't cry the way people do. But something in his fluff sagged gently like a sigh. Still, when the first stars blinked awake, Nimbus rose. The sun was almost gone, but a sliver of its light remained. He reached for it slowly at first, then boldly. He stretched wide, opening his whole self to the cold, letting it pass through him without resistance. The colors that bloomed were different, thinner, cooler, but no less beautiful. They were winter colors. Icy pinks, soft steel blues, glimmers of pearl. Below, people lit lanterns. Someone played a violin by their window. A girl waved a hand through the air, drawing invisible swirls to match the sky. And an old man whispered to his dog, "He's still painting. That little cloud's still painting." Nimbus smiled inside. He was still painting, and he would keep going. Through snow and thaw, through breeze and bloom, through loneliness and joy and all the quiet moments in between. He would paint when the world was watching, and especially when it wasn't. Because painting wasn't just something he did. It was who he had become. A sunset wasn't just color. It was love made visible. And with every color he cast across the sky, Nimbus whispered the same message to the world below. You are not alone. There is always beauty, even in the quiet. And ever since that day, whenever the sky glows at sunset, perhaps it's Nimbus still painting from above. Because dreams, no matter how small, can touch hearts everywhere. If this story warmed your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more magical tales. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep looking up.